Welcome to Caribbean Chat, the platform where Caribbean people of excellence get to tell their story. Our aim is to ensure that your contributions are acknowledged and celebrated. My guest today is an alumnus of the University of Miami in Coral Gables, Florida, and earned a Bachelor of Arts in History from Columbia University in New York City. She is a phenomenal woman. What do I mean by that? She doesn't fit the cliches of a triple threat. She's a quadruple threat. She's a director, producer, writer, videographer, and entrepreneur. My goal today is to show you a paragon. She is living many dual lives simultaneously. I'm not talking about a dabbler, but one who excels. She has built, paved, and maintained the road for many who may not have had access into the creative arts industry any other way. She has spearheaded several projects which have withstood the test of time. One outstanding organization with which she's affiliated as a producer is the 48-Hour Film Project, a decade-long outgrowth of her passion. Her film credits are extensive and impressive. She served as director and producer on 2 short films, Runway Afrique and Corporate Karma. As producer of Closest Kin, Love, and Interest, just to name a few. She also served as a writer on The Closest Kin and Corporate Karma, and cinematographer on Runway Afrique. She was also the editor on Corporate Karma. She also has many accolades, ranging from being the 2011 winner of the Miami 48-Hour Film Project to being an Emmy Award winner. It gives me great pleasure to be sitting across from this remarkable, talented young woman. Please help me to welcome Miss Kathleen Dean.
Hello.
Kathleen, how are you doing, my sister?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for that awesome introduction. You have a way with words.
Thank you. Well, it's not just me. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yes, thank you, pat myself on the back. I have a team that I work with, so I also have to give thanks to them because it's not just a one-man operation. You know, I have to think about the lights, about camera. Yeah, so there are other people to be thanked. You know, Kathleen, over the years, I've always admired you from a distance. I don't know whether or not you know, I've also participated in the 48-Hour Festival some years back. So I always get a chance to sit in the audience and listen to you. And like I said, admire you from far. So today it gives me great pleasure to sit here with you and actually have a face-to-face conversation.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. I think the feeling's mutual.
Thank you. You are from the Bahamas, correct?
I am of Bahamian descent.
Bahamian descent, yes.
My grandparents were born in a little tiny outer island called Crooked Island. And they immigrated to South Florida very early. I believe it was in the 20s or the 30s.
Wow. People tend to speak about the Bahamas as if it's one central place. Could you tell us exactly where your parents were from?
This is, well, I had the pleasure of visiting Crooked Island a couple of years ago. You have to fly into Nassau, and then there's a small plane that leaves for the outer islands twice a week. If you miss that plane, you're stuck on the island for another week. So it's very south of the Bahamas. I think it's close to Turks and Caicos. So okay. Yeah, the Bahamas is made up of like 700 islands. There's a whole bunch of them kissing the Caribbean Sea.
Okay, are they all habitable?
Probably. You're tripping me up. I'm not sure.
Were you exposed to filmmaking growing up?
I was exposed to great film growing up. I enjoyed, I remember my first film. I grew up in upstate New York in a little town called Peekskill. And there was a beautiful old theater in downtown Peekskill called the Paramount Theater. And, they had awesome like Saturday morning matinees. And my first film was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And just like movies was a part of my life. I grew up in a very creative family, lots of artists and artisans in my family. So that creative bug was probably in the genes.
Tell me, what was your defining moment when you decided to dedicate your life to filmmaking?
I saw a film called The Usual Suspects. Do you remember that film?
I'm familiar with the name, but no, I have not
It
seen
was
that one.
a suspense thriller film, and it starred Kevin Spacey, and it was just such a brilliant film. After watching this movie, I was hooked on storytelling, and then I saw Daughters of the Dust.
Yes, yes, Daughters of the Dust. I'm familiar with that.
Brilliant, beautiful work of art. I believe it's been designated a national treasure, and by Julie Dash, a woman of color, and it highlights a very unique region of the United States, the Sea Islands and the Gullah people. And after watching that marvelous film, I was just taken with the art form, and I knew then that some way, some fashion, I was going to work my way into film.
Was that an easy process for you?
It wasn't a straight and narrow road. I mean, I started off exploring different other forms of communication. I started my career as a journalist, and I worked in television and radio. And so I started, with that type of storytelling. And then I was like, I got to get back to to fiction. I want to create stories that have meaning for people rather than regurgitating the trauma and all the stuff we hear in the news every day.
Was it ever a sacrifice? Did you feel like you had to sacrifice anything to become a filmmaker?
I think with anything and everything, there's always some sacrifice. You have to make a choice at some point which road to choose. I really jumped off into film after I moved from New York to South Florida, and here the first my first friends happened to be filmmakers, so it was just a natural progression for me. I had started writing a script early on, and when I met this group of filmmakers, I just felt like, oh my god, this is my tribe. These people speak the same language as I speak. They understand the art form. It was very refreshing, and after that, it seemed to just flow naturally um, for me.
Our stories are similar. I actually, when I moved from New York to Florida, I thought maybe I'd leave all of this stuff behind because I had been doing it for a while, or at least attempting to do it for a while. And my intention was, I'm going to move to Florida, I'm going to learn real estate, I'm going to sell some big houses and get rich. That was my intention. And a few days after settling into Florida, I went to the swap shop. And moving through the crowd, I heard someone yell out, Dr. Henry. And I kind of stunned. I said, well, nobody knows me down here. And I turned around, and this guy I had met years before. And he said, man, I've been looking for you. I lost your number, man. We have to do a movie. Just when I thought I escaped it, I walked right into the situation. And then we started working together. And long story short, we produced, he ended up dropping out of the project, but that's it behind here, The Forgotten Father, years later. But that's a whole other
That's a
story there.
story. See, some things are just meant to be. You can't explain.
Yes, and it's amazing. Our stories are very similar. But for someone who's so knowledgeable about the industry, why haven't you moved to LA?
That's a very good question. I just fell in love with South Florida, and the film community was really on an upward swing when I got here, and things were happening. Like Florida was number 3 in production, so I didn't really think I needed to leave Florida to have a career in film. And the other reason is because I pursued career as an independent filmmaker. I kind of like the freedom and the flexibility of telling the stories that I want to tell, and choosing who I want to work with, and that all seemed to happen for me here. So I never really thought about leaving.
I became disenchanted with Hollywood some years back. I visited, but in terms of chasing that dream, uh, I sort of gave up on that. As previously mentioned, you're an Emmy Award winner. What was it like to find out you were even nominated for this award?
Well, I got to tell you, it was very exciting. So, just to kind of, I did things in a little backwards. I started my career in film, and then I decided to. I always wanted to go back to university to get a graduate degree in cinema, but I was sort of waiting until my son graduated high school. So when my son Alexander graduated high school, I said, "Now's my chance. I'm going to go and get that degree that I've always wanted." And I enrolled at the University of Miami, the School of Communications, in a degree in major motion pictures. And while at the university, I was taking a cinematography class with a wonderful professor by the name of Ed Talavera. And through my connection with Ed and this class, we worked on a short film called Landscape Sublime, which premiered on the local PBS station. And it was about an artist from Russia and her journey and her art form. And it was really a brilliant film. So I worked on this film with Ed and some other people from the cinematography class. And together we won the Emmy Award. So it was really exciting to find out. Film is a collaborative medium. And, it just shows when you collaborate with the right people, magic happens.
Magic happens, yes, yes. Do you have any desire to pursue any of the other highly coveted awards like the Tony or Oscar?
Oscar, definitely. I have a vision board, and there is an Academy Award on my vision board. So that would be the ultimate for me.
Ultimate goal.
I would
This is
love
first, you have to see it in your mind's eye, correct?
Yeah, it's been on the vision board for a few years now. So hopefully we'll get there.
Any Hollywood aspirations?
Huh?
Any Hollywood aspirations?
Hollywood. If Hollywood wants me, if they come knocking, I try to be fluid, like the Buddhists say, be fluid like water, and see what opportunities open up. That was how I became producer of the 48-hour film project. I was directing a film that I wrote called Stories of Hope. And during our breaks, my crew would get together and they were laughing and talking and reminiscing about this experience they had had together the week before. And I was like, "What did you guys do?" And they were like, "We took part in the 48-hour film project." And they told me all about it, how it was a time competition. You have 2 days to make a movie and how exhilarating it was. And, I had a cinematographer that worked on the project and a couple of other people from the crew. And so it sounded like so much fun. The next year I got a team together and I participated. And the year after that, I found out that they were looking for a producer. So I forwarded my resume. And, that's the course that I've been on for the last over 10 years, producing that project, which has really been, if anything, a labor of love. I've met so many wonderful people. I was able to expand the project and change the name of it from the Miami Fort Lauderdale, from the Miami 48 to the Miami Fort Lauderdale 48-hour film project. I mean, there's such an untapped talent pool in Broward County that I wanted to definitely be inclusive of our Broward filmmakers. And we started doing, more events in Broward, and the Broward County Cultural Division came on as a supporter of the project. And it's been a wonderful journey. I've met so many talented people, and through the project, so many talented people have met each other, and they formed, production companies and collaborated on projects and have won awards and gone on to do some really great stuff.
If you had to give someone a shout out right now, who would you credit as your biggest supporter?
My biggest supporter. I think my biggest supporter would have to be my partner, David Muir. He is the person whispering in my ear when I think I can't do it. His philosophy is just do it. I was, at that point a couple of times when I started grad school. I was also caretaking for my elderly father, and just some personal challenges came up, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. And he was like, yes, you can, just do it. And I was like, but this is going wrong and this is going wrong, and I had a million reasons why I couldn't do it. And he was just like, just do it, no problem, do it.
Yeah,
Don't let anything
yeah,
stop you. Money is not a problem, other responsibility is not a problem, just do it. And I was like, all right. He's like, just do it. So I just like did it, and it was like the seas parted. Everything just fell into place. I ended up getting a wonderful fellowship from the university. I won my first Emmy working there, and it just happened. So I think that it's so important to have people in your inner circle who have vision and just believe that nothing is impossible, and you can just do it. Whatever it is your goal is, just do it.
just do it, like
Follow
Nike
that path.
says.
If it's meant for you, everything's going to fall into place. And I experienced that this go around in my life with this recent accomplishment. I just finished my studies in May. I received my Master of Fine Arts degree in major motion picture, and I was awarded most outstanding graduate student.
Wow.
So it was a fun journey, and I'm really happy that I had that support, and of course my son, who is a creative spirit as well, just loving me and supporting me and pitching in. He really helped out, in caring for his grandfather, my father, during my my studies. If I didn't have him, I don't know.
How old is your son now?
He's 22 now.
Oh, that's a
And
good man.
he's a grown man, and he is really there for his mother. So I owe him a lot.
What has been your greatest challenge to date?
My greatest challenge to date has just been myself. Sometimes sometimes in life I felt like a deer in the headlights, where so many things were coming at me, and I was just like, how am I gonna do this? Like, just kind of feeling overwhelmed about things that you need to accomplish to get to the next step. And I think probably a lot of us can say that we are our biggest challenge in life. And once I changed, the way I think, those obstacles just kind of like fall by the wayside. So I can't say that I've had any real major obstacles in life, except for the times that I've thought I had them.
Yeah, when you kind of build that wall, and then you find yourself beating against it, not realizing where it came from, and then realize you put it up.
And fear. What is fear? I mean, it's just some ridiculous thing that's not even real. Like I love this spiritual teacher, Marianne Williamson, and she has this quote. I'm probably gonna like not get it exactly right, but she says like our biggest obstacle in life is the fear that we're going to be great, right? Like some people fear greatness, and you can't. I mean, that's just such a self-defeating idea. Just wake up every morning and say, I'm going to be great at what I do, whatever it is. If it's making a movie or writing a book or painting a portrait, just you got to have that idea that you're going to be great and just put your all into it.
I heard Will Smith quoted, I believe it was from the book The Alchemist, and he said that everything you want is on the other side of fear. So if you just learn to overcome that moment, because what are you scared of? It hasn't happened yet, but you build up all of this apprehension to jump into something, not knowing what's on the other side. You have this fear in front of you, and if you can just kick that out of the way, everything that you want to accomplish is right on the other side of that. You always seem to keep yourself prepared. So you stepping to the helm of the Miami 48-hour Film Festival, it was destined to be, because you were prepared. A mentor of mine said that it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So that opportunity presented itself and you were ready to step in.
I was, and only because I saw some things were missing in the project. The year I participated, it was very fragmented. There was no coming together with other filmmakers. There was no networking. It was just like it was in this vacuum that this experience happened. And I was like, this could be so much better for the community if we have a space and a time where we can come together and then meet other people who want to be part of your filmmaking project and share, experiences and knowledge and just get to know each other. So that was something that I immediately put into place. I was like, we are going to, build some community. And how do you do that? You get people together, you break bread, you have drinks, you talk. So we did a lot of that before the project. We'd have these meet and greets and even some workshops where we'd bring in experts who would teach skills to the filmmakers, because the project is open to novice filmmakers as well as professionals.
Would you be comfortable steering your child along the same path that you've taken?
I try every day. I believe that, you should get up every day and feel like every day is Saturday. If you wake up or it's Sunday and you're dreading Monday because you hate the job you're going to, what kind of life is that?
You need to quit.
Life is meant to be lived and enjoyed. And since I made that change, I did have a little short stint in corporate America, and I felt trapped and I felt stifled creatively. And I wouldn't want my son to live that life. So I encourage him every day. I'm like, what are you interested in? Find your passion and I'll fuel it for you. If it's art, do you need art supplies? What do you want to do? You want to write? You need a quiet space to write. You need a computer. Whatever it is that makes you happy and brings you joy. I think the world would be a better place if everybody did what they loved every day. And if you do what you love, you're going to be good at it because you love it, right? So
over the course of my life, I've seen so many people. A particular friend graduated from school and all he ever wanted to do was to be a barber, like his father.
a barber?
A barber. And he moved into that barber shop, started cutting hair every day. And the only thing he did for like 10, 15 years inside of there was painted the walls. Got himself all the equipment he needed. But the thing about it all, he was happy. He was happy living his purpose, what it is he wanted to do. And many people looked at him and it's like, oh, he's just a barber in a small little shack. But he was comfortable every day. That's what he loved and that's what he got up and do, cut hair. And he was happy with that. So it's vitally important that, and I can tell you as someone who have made mistakes, it's vitally important to go out there and pursue your passion. Do what it is that's calling you. Do what it is it's in your heart to do. Because nobody else can do that for you. And you don't want to live a life of regret, looking back at it all and thinking I should have, I could have. So I'm happy to see that you encouraging him as opposed to pushing him in a direction.
And everyone I meet. I spent many years teaching as an adjunct instructor, and I had students come to take my class. I was teaching video field production at the time, who were, their parents may hate me now, but they were maybe studying medicine or something else that they didn't enjoy. And then when they got into the class and they were able to learn, and I always made a lot of time to sit one-on-one with my students. I think that's important when you're doing something like film. And I've seen so many light bulbs go off. I've seen so many people light up and then decide, hey, this is what I want to do, and make that switch. And you know,
Do you
happiness
do you
is.
miss filmmaking when you're not doing it?
Sorry?
Do you miss filmmaking when you're not doing it?
Yes. And as the producer of the 48-hour film project, there were many years that I did not create film. You know, as a film festival producer, there's so many other things that you have to do. So the filmmaking kind of fell by the wayside for a little bit. And I was so happy when I got back into graduate school and made the time to do that, and said, okay, now I'm just going to experiment and create and have fun. And yeah, it's something that I love, and I can't imagine it not being a part of my life. And it's a passion, you know. I experiment, I have fun with it, and it's something that I'm probably always going to do.
Some people tend to think that you have to go to college, you have to spend 4 years, 6 years, whatever it may take. You have to learn film to operate these big cameras and lights and the stuff that we see in Hollywood. Let's draw a scenario here. If you, let's say you in an airport and you're crossing paths with a young person who has aspirations to be a filmmaker, and you have just a couple of minutes to talk to them as far as how to go about this, what advice would you give to a young filmmaker?
I think it depends on what your end goal is. Like if you want to move to Hollywood and you know, work on major motion pictures, studio pictures, I think that going to a well accredited graduate program is a really good idea. And anything in life, I find that your relationships are very helpful, and that's one of the key things that you develop in graduate school: relationships. You are working, you know, under the tutelage of professors who worked in the industry, who know people. You know, you'll produce projects that will get seen. The University of Miami, where I completed my graduate studies, every year they send students out to LA to meet with alumni who are active in the industry. So that's, you know, that's an important part of it. If you school's not your thing, which is totally understandable, there's YouTube University, and just get yourself a camera and some friends and just do it. You know, study your craft. You know, learn. You can learn on your own, and you can become really good at whatever part of the craft that you want to specialize in, be it cinematography, editing, writing, or even producing. And do it, and surround yourself with other people who are also doing it, and but keep like sharpening your skills, keep learning, and keep trying to achieve excellence, and make movies, tell stories.
I like what you said there, YouTube University. I love that. A lot of people just seem to go on there and listen to music and whatever. That's fine. But it's a valuable resource center that you can learn so much from. You also are affiliated with Black Cat Media. What role do you play in that company?
Black Cat Media is my production company, so
That's your baby.
that's my baby. And
Okay.
through Black Cat Media, I produce projects for art organizations, corporations, short documentaries, commercial work.
Boss lady. I didn't know that. Uh, Tell me, outside of filmmaking, what other media enterprises you've worked for or in? I understand you did do some journalism at one time.
I did. I did. I thought that I wanted to be a news anchor at one point in my life. So I studied journalism, and I started my career working for News Radio 88, which is the CBS station in New York City. That was a wonderful experience for me. I also worked on some television news programs. Um, And I don't know if you've ever been in a newsroom in New York City, but it's a crazy place. Of course, language is flying, tempers are, flaring. It's exciting, and you meet some wonderful, intelligent people, and it is, it's something that's very necessary. And I started off, charting that course. And then I remember I was just watching television one day, and I saw a woman that I had watched as an anchor for years, and she had gotten to a certain age. And, unfortunately, women were aging out of jobs pretty early in their career back then. And I saw this wonderful woman who I'd watched down at Anchor Desk every morning for years covering a snowstorm. And there she was with her parker on, and it was one of those major blizzards in New York, and snow's flying all over the place, and she's there freezing, holding the microphone, reporting. And I was like, oh my God. I just, like, my mind flashed to, like,
I don't want to do that.
yeah, I was like, nah, I need a little more agency in my life. So that was a moment that really caused me to switch gears. I knew I wanted to have control in my life.
But I do understand the part about the tempers flaring in the newsroom and stuff. I remember one particular anchor in New York, I think was Sue Simmons. Yeah, she, let me not call the wrong name. Can't remember exactly who it was. And she shouted some expletives at someone else in the studio, and the cameras were still rolling.
Okay, yeah.
Right after the newscast, and she blah, 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 and it went out.
It's a stressful environment.
I think that was the end of it. Yeah, it is indeed stressful. I did radio for some time, and I do understand. I studied broadcasting, and after going into a studio doing an overnight session, I realized that this is not where I want to be. You sit there in a dark room playing records and looking at the phone every 2 minutes, hoping that it rings, hoping that somebody out there is listening to you. And doing that for a bit, I was like, this is not where I want to be. And after studying broadcasting, I just kind of moved away from that and fell into acting and this part that I'm on right now. But you seem to...
I've got some wonderful friends. I did some training with NPR early on in my career, and I worked with this awesome dude by the name of Doug Mitchell, who he nurtures young talent and people of color, and he helps them get into news. So I work with Doug and these other amazing journalists from NPR and who do brilliant work. And some of the people I trained with early on in my career are knocking it out the box. That was their path, and they've done well at it. They're still passionate about it. So kudos to them, for the brilliant work that they do, and especially to Doug for helping to train journalists who have, ethics and morals and, tell the truth. So it's important to have people who that's their passion. Just unfortunately, it just wasn't for me or you, right?
Exactly. But tell me, is there a path not yet taken for you?
Well, I have this little secret pastime that I started to cultivate during the COVID lockdown. I, in between, baking banana bread and writing grants for film projects, I started taking art lessons online. So I'm developing my painting skills, and I have to say I love it. It's a form of meditation for me and extreme enjoyment. And who knows, maybe one day I'll get good enough to show my work.
Well, I'm happy to see that you didn't allow this COVID situation to beat you down. Like me, you seem to have the same intention to come out on the other side of this thing shining.
Yeah, I mean, as terrible as it was for the world to shut down, I think there's been a whole lot of good that has come out of this downtime for people. Um, Artists need time to think and to, you know, pre-production is like the most important parts of film, and it should be the longest part of the filmmaking process. So, this downtime has given artists time to cultivate their skills, to develop new skills, to write. I joined a Black writers group that is very active online. It's been very inspiring. Also, during this COVID social distancing time, I've had the pleasure of curating a film series for Pompano Beach. It's called the Montage Film Series, and it's the brainchild of a wonderful woman named Sharonda Richardson. And I brought some award-winning films to Pompano, which were supposed to be screened in front of an audience, but we had to do a pivot because of COVID and social distancing. So they launched all of this film programming online, and the series has just been, it was a wonderful connection that we had during COVID. Everyone from their living room. I hosted the program, curated the film, and then I would do the interview with the filmmakers. And we have another one coming up at the end of this month. It's a film called Listen, and it is something that I think a lot of people need, especially in this like crazy political environment that we're in right now. The film is a documentary, and it's about people from different opposing viewpoints who were put together and taught how to listen to one another.
So what qualifications someone has to meet in order to get their film on that particular format?
Well, I think I'm going to be programming for the next year, so they just need to like holler at your girl here. And I'm going to only offer up short films so that we can have time to chat with the director, and I think that that works best in that online format. So if anybody's watching this and they have a short film that they're proud of, you can contact me.
Is there any time limit on the project, or it has to be new?
We are looking for things that were produced recently, but well, take anything into consideration. If it still is a solid project that still stands up and is topical, then we can consider it.
Kathleen, how do you want to be remembered?
To be remembered as someone who inspired other people to live their passion and to create great work, artistic work that opens conversations between people and builds bridges of understanding and enlightenment, and also provides joy and entertainment. I would like to be remembered as someone who did that myself, but more importantly, someone who taught and inspired others to do the same.
This brings us to the part of the show I like to refer to as rapid fire. What I want to do is ask you a couple of questions, and I want you to just give me an answer off the top of your head. As the children say, no hesitation, no concentration.
Okay.
Which director can make you drop everything you're doing for an opportunity to work with him or her?
Ava DuVernay.
Which one book would you most like to turn into a screenplay?
This is a weird one, but As a Man Thinketh.
If you had to grab one movie from your collection that you had to watch over and over and over, what would you pick?
Daughters of the Dust.
Kathleen, before you leave, please tell people where they can find you.
I'm on Facebook. People can find me at Kathleen Dean on Facebook, at Kat Dean 10 on Instagram and Twitter. And if you go to the 48hourfilmproject.com/Miami-FL, you can find my links on that page and also information about the 48 Hour Film Project.
It has indeed been a pleasure having you take time out of your schedule to come chat with us here on Caribbean Chat. Kathleen, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Blessings. Thank you.